Morning. Welcome to our morning meditation. I'm the Reverend Dr. William L. Johnson III, here to share this message. I hope that will bring inspiration and encouragement to your life and that you can share with other people. Well, here we are for our second installment of this beginning kind of theme. Last morning meditation, we shared a message about the practice of prayer, and we invited you and others to be able to start a regular practice of communing with God or in your own meditative practice so that you can actually center your soul and prepare yourselves for the week. You have to keep a practice, sort of muscle memory, if you will, that you don't just leave it to when crises come and difficulties come, but that you keep a practice of communion with your soul and with your creator as you're going through life, so that in the heat of the battle, when life gets really difficult and things get hard, you're not talking to a stranger. You're not in a place where you don't have practices that will center your soul and prepare you for what it is that you face. And so last week we talked about the practice of prayer. But today I want to talk about the purpose of prayer. The purpose of prayer. It is important, I think, really important to kind of answer these questions for ourselves about what is this all about and why should we be doing it? I love stories and anecdotal stories that kind of illustrate what it is that we're talking about here. But I think it's important to kind of put it in context. It's important to have a purpose for and understand why we are doing what we do, instead of just kind of creating it to say, hey, go out there and do it, and you'll figure it out along the way. Maybe that might be so, but it's important to know that essentially the purpose of prayer is to commune with our creator, to build relationship, to build relationship not only with our creator, with God, to build relationship with other people, and also to build relationship with ourselves. And so the purpose of prayer is not simply our request, as if we were ordering from Uber Eats and wanting a delivery. Not that, or that God would, or someone we would request or petition and want something done and then wait for it to happen. No, the real purpose of prayer is to connect us with that which is organic and real and most important in our lives. The one who created us, for those of us who are people of faith who believe in God, for others who are finding themselves finding meaning and purpose in the way that they spend time with themselves in meditation, whatever your journey may be, from one thing to another. I want to encourage you to kind of put your hands on the purpose for what you're doing. And what we discover is, for those from certain traditions might discover that the purpose of prayer may look like several things. For some people, they think it's a moment of adoration and acknowledgement that God is God and that it is important in this acts kind of prayer, ACTS. Some would think for Christians that that part for acts is an adoration and acknowledgement for who God is, confession for what it is that we are after we've kind of gotten a sense of how we've not lived up to or lived into what it is we should have done in comparison to being in the presence of the holy. For thanksgiving, for the fact of all the things that have happened, despite our inability to match them, meet them moment, that we are now here, still able to engage and support each other and to love God along the journey. And then our supplication, the time in which we offer God our request and what we're concerned about and who we're concerned about. Some think the acts form of prayer is one of those models that gives us some purpose. And all of that may be true. Those things can be quite helpful and to understand how we navigate. However, let me essentially say that the purpose of prayer is about relationship. I alluded to it in the last segment as we talked about prayer and the practice of prayer, but the purpose of prayer is really about relationship. It's about building this kind of relationship with God, our creator, or to build it over time so that in the midst of our journey that we have trust and confidence and faith in what it is that we are encountering in life, so that we are not then trying to deal with these challenging times alone, that we find ourselves in communion with a God that loves us and wants to have conversation with us, or to be able to center ourselves in a way that we recognize that there's something beyond us as we are in this mix with all those in this current called life. Whatever it is, the purpose of it is to center down and to reconnect. The purpose of it is to center down and to reconnect. I think I may have shared with you this story about a person who was wanted to go to the continent of Africa, to go to the savannah, to see wildlife. And he employed some of the natives there. And while they were on their way journeying, they traveled a great deal of distance. And at some point, they decided to stop for the evening and to rest and to prepare themselves for what would come next. However, after sleeping and setting up camp, they got up the next morning, and the gentleman got up and said, "Okay, let's go. We're ready to go." And those who were the natives said, "Not now. We're not going anywhere." He was frustrated because he figured he'd paid these people. He was ready to go for his next leg. And so after a full day had passed, he thought he'd wasted time. And he came back the next morning and said, "Okay, I'm ready to go. Let's get going." And they didn't move again. Now he's a bit frustrated. And by the next morning, he says to them, "Now I am ready to go." They said, "You can go, but we're going to wait until our souls catch up with us before we take any other step on this journey." It's interesting because I think in the midst of our lives that we are running, going, rushing, doing, acting, being, talking, engaging, and our souls we have left so far behind that we're not aware that they have not caught up to us. Have you ever found yourself doing something and you know your soul's not in it, your heart's not in it, your mind's not in it, but it's because it's something that you have to do or you thought you had to do? You're talking to your family, you're at the dinner table, but you're really not there. You're working on that assignment, but you're really not engaged in it and focused. And that is an indication that we have left our souls behind while we're engaging in life right now. And I want to say it's quite dangerous to find yourself doing things and acting in ways and making decisions about your life and the lives of others without your soul showing up in the midst of it. I know it sounds like rubbish to people who don't move that way. But I want to encourage you that if you don't move with your soul intact, then you'll be an imposter the entire time you're journeying. You'll be acting out things that your soul and your heart never ever endorsed. And what you will discover is that whatever you're doing, it will leave you empty in the end. That's my belief about that. You don't have to agree with it, but I do believe that's the case. And so the purpose of prayer is to be able to tie our souls back to the reason and the purpose for which we live. It is that reason that we get up every day. At that reason that we, at the end of the day, assume that we've done the best that we can. And without that connection, for me, it's with my creator. I am not sure whether or not I have fulfilled the purpose for which I was sent here and assigned. So the purpose of prayer is to connect our souls back to our purpose for being in life. And if that comes to you through your relationship with God or the relationship with your creator, or whether it comes to you with centering down and meditating on your own to try to find your place in the world. You may not have a faith tradition, may not believe in religious order, but you may really have a sense of what meaning looks like. Like those persons that said to the traveler, we have to wait until our souls show up. And when our souls show up, then we'll begin the journey again. Well, I want to encourage you to make sure your soul's intact with you and traveling along the way with you. That's the purpose of prayer. And I want to encourage you to make sure you practice it and you know why you're doing it through your purpose. All right. Thank you so much for being with us for another morning meditation. I want to encourage you and empower you to keep on doing those things as you develop during the course of this year. I want you to be blessed, and I pray that you will be. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great life. And remember, you're loved, you're appreciated, and you're irreplaceable. Have a great one. Take care.